Okay, B'siyata Dishmaya, we're here in Shar Yichud. We are going to be learning from the Ben Ish Chai. The Ben Ish Chai, Ben Yosef Chaim from Baghdad. The Ben Ish Chai is an amazing Kabbalist and Posek, Tzaddik, and he has a teaching on Parashat Nitzavim, which is coming up in a few weeks, the Shabbat before Rosh Hashanah, 3 weeks or so from now. The Parashat before Rosh Hashanah, we always read as Nitzavim, and the Ben Ish Chai in his book, Ben Ish Chai, is very connected to Tzfat, by the way. The Ben Ish Chai is Yosef Chaim. He's from Baghdad, but he came to Tzfat, and when he was in Tzfat, he went to the kever of Benayahu, Ben Yoyada, right up the hill here. And at the kever of Benayahu, he had a revelation by way of the Yichud that he did, a couple of significations that he did. He had a revelation that his soul is connected to the soul of Benayahu Ben Yoyada. Benayahu was an advisor of David HaMelech and a hitman for Shlomo HaMelech. When Shlomo comes into reign in Tanakh, in the Bible, and he starts to take power, Shlomo goes on a little bit of a killing spree, right? To avenge everything that was done to David and to set the tone of, cleaning up all the messes that were made. So the hitman in all of those assassinations was Benayahu. Benayahu was a war general, an advisor to the kings, and also the tzaddik of the generation at that time. All-encompassing soul. There's few souls throughout our history that the tzaddikim tell us they were souls that included all of the souls of Israel inside of them, like Moshe Rabbeinu. Benayahu was one of them. Benayahu was one of the people that his soul was 600,000 souls in one. Everybody inside there. So it's a very powerful place to pray. They have beautiful slichot, all of Elul. It's not that far away. Very kedai to go there. So when Ben Ish Chai came there, he had a revelation that he's rooted in Benayahu. All of his books are named from the pasuk in Tanakh that introduces Benayahu Ben Yoyada. Ben Ish Chai, Mekabit Sa'el, Ben Yoyada, all these different, like the Nach, the writings in the Torah, write out all these titles and descriptions for Benayahu and a few psukim when it mentions his name. All of the Ben Ish Chai's books, names are from those psukim. So Ben Ish Chai, we call him the Ben Ish Chai, right? His name is Rav Yosef Chaim. Why do we call him Ben Ish Chai? Because this is his most famous book. But what is Ben Ish Chai? That's a title of Benayahu Ben Yoyada from the Bible. He was called Ben Ish Chai. Go ahead.
Yosef Chaim?
His name is Yosef Chaim. Correct. He's named after him. Correct.
Oh, okay.
Any Yosef Chaim you know in your life, they're either named after Rav Yosef Chaim Sonnenfeld, who was the rabbi in Jerusalem, or Rav Yosef Chaim from Baghdad, Eliyahu, Rav Yosef Chaim Eliyahu.
When was his time?
Also around the same time Rabbi Natan, after the previous generation, he was also probably died around like 180 years ago. Let's see here if it's written when he passed exactly.
Did he die in Baghdad?
He came to Jerusalem and he died in Baghdad, and then the same day that he died, there was a mysterious burial that happened in Jerusalem, and there was a tombstone placed for the Ben Ish Chai. At the same time that he died in Baghdad, there was a burial in Jerusalem for a person that wasn't known by people that weren't known, and the stone that was left there said Yosef Chaim on it. Very trippy things. Hashem's ways are out of this world. And so he has a kever in Yerushalayim, but technically he passed away in Baghdad. He did come here and he met Rabbi Natan of Breslov in Meron. There's connections. Ben Ish Chai is amazing.
Ask for some context also. Who's Rabbi Natan?
Rabbi Natan is the scribe of Rabbi Nachman. Anything you know in Breslov was written by Rabbi Natan.
He was a student?
Correct. He's the student. He's the Yoshua to Moshe.
And he wrote Likutei Tefillot and Likutei Halachot.
And Likutei Moran. Everything you have in Breslov was...
No, but a lot of the Likutei Moran is words from Rabbeinu.
Correct, but he wrote it.
Oh,
Wrote to the books. They were all written by Rabbi Natan. He's the scribe of Breslov. So, go ahead.
Reb Yosef Chaim, he did stuff with Reb Natan?
They sang a song together in Meron.
Gotcha. Okay. So they've met and that's...
They met. I don't even know if they spoke so much, but they were in the same vicinity at the same time doing the same thing.
Cool.
Not so much connected though, personally probably, but in the Torah, of course, they are. All the Torah is one. It's all coming to give us the same idea. Hashem runs the world, and you're here to make that known. That's it, in your own unique way. So we have a beautiful teaching here today. We'll try to get through. We're going to touch on two different important ideas. One is the unification between our mouth and our heart, and the other, which connects to that as well, is the idea of the shofar. There's a pasuk that's in Parashat Nitzavim. Again, we're not on the right parasha, right? This is not this week's parasha, but it's what I feel like teaching today. It's rooted in Parashat Nitzavim. And there it says, Ki karov alecha hadavar me'od beficha uvelivavcha la'asoto. The thing is very close to you, in your mouth and in your heart, to do it. What's the thing? Keeping Torah and Mitzvot, connecting to God. Being a holy person, it's very close to you, in your mouth, in your heart, to do it. That's the verse. Obviously my translation of it, but I'm translating it that way specifically. I'm sure the Art Scroll has some very beautiful poetic translation that leaves the precision of the Hebrew out of it. Ben Ishai says like this, Nirali b'siyata dishmaya. What was written by Mahari Abuhav, Rabbi Tzchak Abuhav, right? We have a shul here in Tzfat called Abuhav, and a street called Abuhav. That shul is the shul of Rabbi Tzchak Abuhav, who lived in Spain, never came here, but he sent students, and that shul miraculously showed up here in Tzfat one night, without any construction, without any building, and it looks the exact same copy as the shul that was in Spain. And the students that were physically here came from Spain. It's like, I give this over. Imagine you live in New York City and you know the Statue of Liberty, right? You know the Statue of Liberty. And then you move to the jungle of Brazil or Tzfat, and one day you wake up without any construction. 500 years ago, you have an exact replica of the Statue of Liberty. That's the story of that Shul Abuhav.
Where was Abu Ab in Spain?
I don't know what to say exactly.
I'll look.
So, from the words of Rabbi Tzchak Abuhav, Midivrei Avotenu Zichronim Livracha, and it says in Agadat Bereshit, in the stories of Bereshit, Shimu Devar Hashem, listen to the word of Hashem. What's Devar? Again, the verse says, Ki karov alecha hadavar me'od. This thing is very close to you. Thing in Hebrew is Devar, which is also speech, right? Same word. Because why? Everything is created by speech of Hashem. So what's Devar? We're trying to understand, what is this Devar? What is this thing that's very close to you, in your mouth and your heart, to do it? Shimu Devar Hashem. Listen to the word of Hashem. En Devar ele shmirat Shabbat. Devar is guarding Shabbat. Whenever the Torah says Devar, that means to keep Shabbat. Like it says, Mimatzo chavtzecha v'daver davar. It says in Isaiah 58, right? From the place of stop seeking out your own things and from speaking whatever you want to speak. Daver davar. Kadosh Baruch Hu, yeah.
Is that Devarim the same thing? So the whole book is about keeping Shabbat?
No.
Okay.
The word davar.
Okay.
The word dvarim means speech, words, right? But we're working off the pasuk in Yirmiyahu that says, Shimu Devar Hashem, listen to the word of Hashem, which obviously just means the word, the prophecy that's about to come in his mouth. The rabbis go in and say, what's Davar? So one answers and says, Davar means Shabbat. One opinion. Hashem says to Israel, Afilu im avartum al aseret hadibrot, shimu Shabbat ve'eslach lechem. Even if you go against the 10 commandments, if you keep Shabbat as a Jew, I'll forgive you. Adkan. Up until here is one understanding of what the word davar means. The rabbis also say in Masechet Brachot, Amra Shabbat lifnei Kadosh Baruch Hu. Shabbat said in front of Hashem, Lechol hayamim natata ben zug v'li lo natata. Every day of the week you gave a couple to, right? There's 7 days of the week. So how many pairs can you get in 7 days? If every day of the week has a couple, there's 7 days of the week. How many pairs do you have?
14.
7 pairs.
Pairs.
7 pairs.
How 7 pairs? There's 7 days, and you need to make each day has a pair, which is another day. How you have 7 divided by 2 is the math.
3.5.
3. You can only have 3 pairs. So Shabbat comes to Hashem and says, every single day of the week you gave a pair to. And me, you didn't give a pair. You can't have 4 couples and 7. It's an odd number. You need an even number to make complete pairs, right? What did Hashem say to him? Israel yeh ben zugech. Am Yisrael is going to be your couple, your spouse. We are, so to say, the spouse of Shabbat. So what do you say? There's a big closeness, there's a relationship between Am Yisrael and the Shabbat. Again, the pasuk that's in Parashat Nitzavim says, Ki karov elecha hadavar. The davar, which we learned in one opinion in the rabbis is Shabbat, is karov elecha. It's close to you. Karov in Hebrew means close, and it also means relative, because you're a close relative, right? My karov, my father is my karov, my brother is my karov, right? So karov elecha davar. What's your karov? What's your spouse? What's close to you? Shabbat, Israel. So what does that mean for the Jew? It's very close to you to keep Shabbat. It's not some far out thing. The normal state of a Jew is to keep Shabbat. The Jews have been amongst Goyim for thousands of years, so it has an effect. And over the past 300 years, a lot of secularism that wasn't found before in the Jewish people. The normal way of a Jew is to keep Shabbat. You have a relationship with it. So Hashem says to Shabbat, your partner is Israel. ברם ודאי אין קרובה זאת נוהגת ביניהם אלא אם כן יהיו ישראל שומרים השבת כהלכתו. But this relationship will never ever exist between Am Yisrael and the Shabbat if Am Yisrael doesn't keep the Shabbat according to halacha. If you don't do the thing how it's meant to be done, what relationship do you have with it? Right? Try to use a car like you use a tractor. It's not the same thing. Try to fly a plane like you use a boat. And if you think you're a pilot when really all you have is a captain experience, and you're not a pilot. You're just crazy. Shabbat is Shabbat. It comes with how to be kept. You don't have to be perfect from your first time trying to do it, but you should have a desire to be able to keep Shabbat properly. And that looks a certain way. And there's many stages from when you start to try to keep Shabbat until you get to there, and they're all holy and they're all part of the process. But if your goal is to fully keep Shabbat, like it was said here this morning, by Rav Shimi, right? A person that loves Hashem and loves Torah, Shabbat is a jam-packed day. I don't have enough time to get all the things I need to do on Shabbat. It's not a day of sleep. It's not a day of rest. It's a day of rest from this world. But that doesn't mean I'm resting. I'm full force on Shabbat. While resting. My rest is that I can engage into what my soul really wants more than anything. But that takes a lot of energy. It's not a day of sleep. It's not a day of just not touching electricity. That's not Shabbat. There's so much more. B'machshava, v'dibur, u'ma'aseh. Shabbat includes guarding Shabbat in the mind. Certain things you're not allowed to think about on Shabbat. You're not allowed to think about business plans on Shabbat. Even between you and yourself, you're not allowed to think about business on Shabbat. Politics. You're also not allowed to talk about those things. And there's also things that you're not physically allowed to do. So Shabbat comes with halachot of how you're meant to think and how you're not meant to think. How you're meant to speak and not meant to speak, and how much you act and not to act. So there we have again, right? Thought, speech, and action. What is the thing very close to? Ki karov elecha hadavar. This thing is very close to you. Bificha uvilevavcha la'asoto. In your mouth, in your heart, meaning your thoughts, to do it. Thought, speech, and action unified there. The rabbi said, Dibur asur, speech is forbidden, Yiru mutar, thoughts are permitted. En kedushato shel Shabbat shlema ele im ken yizaher bo gam biyuru. Technically, you are allowed to think about business on Shabbat, right? Not like I said. You are technically allowed to. But it's not within the ruach of Shabbat. It's not within the spirit of Shabbat. Shabbat will never be complete unless it's completely held on those 3 levels: thoughts, speech, and action. Like the Shulchan Aruch says. So Shabbat is called davar, and it's very close to you. In your mouth, in your heart, to do it. It's not enough to keep Shabbat alone. You have to have Shabbat in your speech. You have to have Shabbat in the thoughts of your heart. And then you become the spouse, the couple, the husband to Shabbat. Then you have the close relationship with Shabbat. Or you can understand it in a different way. In the letters of Rabbi Akiva, it says, "Ein davar ela lashon mitzvah." Davar is not Shabbat, it's mitzvah. Now we can read the pasuk different. Ki karov elecha ha-mitzvah me'od. The commandment is very close to you. Beficha u'vilavavcha la'asoto, in your mouth, in your heart, to do it. But from the side of mitzvah. And it's known that we have 248 positive commandments, 365 negative commandments. And they align with 248 organs in the body and limbs in the body, and 365 sinews, right, and the veins that we have, and the arteries. Every single one of them, every single part of your makeup as a human being has a spiritual root. This is something that we actually got from Rabbi Yoel Turjman Zatzal, that this week will be 11 months to his passing. My dear Rebbe, that we miss very much, Rabbi Yoel Edi Maimon Ben Arav David, he used to print this and we made this one for him, when he passed away. But inside here, what is it? It's from the beginning of the Torah until the end, all of the commandments that you have in the Torah in order, whether they're a positive or a negative commandment, which number in those lists they are. And the idea here is to make a bridge between the 248 positive commandments and 365 negative commandments with the 248 body parts and 265 body parts with the 248 soul body parts and 365 soul body parts. And when you unify your soul with your body and with the Torah, then you get healing and a lot of health all around. So this is a very important thing to do. Every single body part is rooted in a mitzvah. So when you go through and these pamphlets are separated by the days of the week, you only do each day, 7 days, right? 7 days a week, you do a certain section. And every week you can complete that your body is aligned with your soul, with the Torah. And then you get the completion. And that's how you have the dveikut, you have this attachment to the Torah by way of your soul and your body. You're putting your all inside of it. So you can ask the question, it's impossible for you to do all the 613 mitzvot, right? You don't want to have to get divorced, but getting divorced is a mitzvah. Meaning there's a way to get divorced properly. But you don't want to have to do that. You're not a Kohen. Some people don't live in the land of Israel to do certain things. There's a lot of the mitzvot, nearly 2/3 of the mitzvot that you cannot do physically. So then you'll be lacking in your body parts, so to say, right? If every body part is rooted in a mitzvah, and there's mitzvot that I can't do, so then I'm lacking. So what do they say? No, you can complete all 613 mitzvot by way of speech.
So it's kind of like the karbanos.
Correct. Correct. Right? Our lips will complete the bull offering. The rabbis say when you read it, it's as if you did it. And also in your thoughts. The saying from the rabbis, when finally will this mitzvah come by my hand and I'll be able to do it? So in the thought, what are you doing then? The mitzvah is not in your hand. You haven't had the opportunity. But in your mind, you're yearning to be able to do it. When will I be able to do that mitzvah? Meaning in your mind, you already have the desire to do it. You're already there. So in your mouth, you can keep all 613. And in your mind, you can keep all 613. And this is what it means. Ki karov alecha davar. The mitzvah is very close to you. In your mouth, in your heart, to do it. And it says another thing. En davar ele refuah. Davar is healing. So we've had so far Shabbat, we've had mitzvah, and now we get Shabbat is healing. Davar is healing. Like it says, Ishlach devaro v'yirpa'em. In Tehillim 107, it says he will send out his word, send out devaro, his thing, davar, and it will heal them. Why? Because tshuva is refuah for the world. Doing teshuvah and connecting to Hashem, coming back to your source, that is what brings healing to the world. Irpa meshuvatam. It says in Hosea, the prophet, Hosea, it says there in the 14th chapter, Irpa meshuvatam. I will heal from their returning. Meaning when they do tshuva, it comes with healing. And the main aspect of tshuva is that a person should heal himself. When's the main healing that comes out of tshuva? When it's in your mouth and your heart together. When there's a yichud between what you're saying and what you're feeling. And what you know to be true, how you're thinking and what you're saying. They need to be unified. Ki karov alecha davar, healing is very close to you. The davar, which is healing, is very close to you. That's the refuah of tshuva. The healing that comes with tshuva, of coming back to what it means to be a Jew, with a relationship with Hashem, with a connection to Eretz Yisrael, with a connection to the Torah of Eretz Yisrael, with a connection to the leaders of Israel, that tzaddikim throughout all the generations. And I act like a Jew, and I behave like a Jew, and I think like a Jew, and I speak like a Jew. That's the healing that is very close to you, in your mouth, in your heart, to do it. Another way you can understand this, pei lev, right? Beficha u'levavcha, in your mouth, in your heart. Pei lev, if you spell them out, right? Each letter can be spelled. Aleph is an image, right? But it also can be spelled Aleph Lamed Pei. Bet is just an image, but it could also be written Bet Yud Taf, bite, right? And that's how you spell the letter Bet or Aleph. So if you spell out Pei, Hey, Lamed, Bet, spell out Pei, mouth, and spell out heart, Pei, Hey, Hey, Yud, Lamed Mem Dalet, Bet Yud Taf, you get out the number, the gematria, Tokef. Tokef is strength. To show you that the strength of a person is when he's able to connect his mouth and his heart together. Deep teaching. Therefore, this is also the gematria of Kiddusha Elyona, supernal holiness, because by way of completing the heart and the mouth to be unified, a person will merit to supernal holiness. Pei Lev is also the gematria, Tokef, right, is also the gematria of Shofar, of a Shofar. And this is why part of what we wanted to learn. One, we wanted to learn that Shabbat is easy for you to do. And it's really only complete when your mouth and your mind and your heart are there, and your actions. And also that mitzvot are the same thing. It's easy to keep mitzvot. I was just learning, I got a new book from Rabbi Aaron Pereira. Rabbi Aaron Rafael Pereira Zatzal. Rabbi Aaron Pereira says that a 6-year-old kid came up to him and did a siyum on all of Shas, finished all of the Mishnayot. For us to be able to finish all of Mishnayot, you have to learn 18 chapters every day for 30 days. That's how long it would take you. If you did it the fastest way pretty much possible, that's doable. 18 chapters, not Mishnayot. Today, this morning, you learned one Mishnah. Yesterday, you learned one Mishnah, right? 18 chapters of Mishnayot. A day for 30 days, you finish all of Mishnayot. A kid showed up to Rabbi Aaron Pereira and finished it all in less than a few minutes. How's that possible? Rabbi Aaron Pereira says that Hashem loves simplicity. He says, take the first word of every single chapter, make a song out of it. If you've already learned the Mishnah, you have all the information in your head. So you just evoke the first word of it, you sing it, and in your mind you have the rest of the Torah that's there. Maybe not in all the finer details, but the gist of the Torah is there. Now by saying the first word, you've just completed all the shots. So he says you're waiting in the street, waiting for a bus, just start singing in this song. And now you're learning all of the whole entire Torah. And he says Hashem loves this. Hashem loves this. So it's easy for you to do mitzvot. And you can keep all of the 613. Just find a way to remember. Try to maybe make a song that you can pair all the mitzvot together, even if it's just parts of them. The mitzvot that are connected to the land of Israel, the mitzvot that are connected to tshuva, to Shabbat, this. You can start to be able to get through it. And to know that tshuva is close to you. Healing is close to you. So, Pei Lev, mouth, heart, is also the gematria of Shofar. Shofar, obviously, is the horn that we blow to arouse people to hear the voice of the calling of Hashem that comes out every single day. This bat kol, this voice that comes out to the Jewish souls every single day to return and to come back to Hashem. Shofar is also from the word shipur, to improve, l'shaper, to make it better. That's also the act of tshuva, of making better. And the rabbis say, Shofar shapu ma'asechem, improve your actions. When you hear the voice of the shofar, right, Elul, what's Elul about? It's the end of the year. Before we start the new year, let's improve our actions. At the end, let's make it all better. Not that we shouldn't have been good the whole year, but now we get 30 days of an opportunity to improve our actions before we step into the court case. And that has to be complete. How do you completely improve your actions? When your heart and your mouth are unified. It's not enough that you get inspiration from Torah and prayers and you do holy things and you surround yourself with holy ideas, and then you walk down the street and someone cuts you off and you curse them out. It doesn't add up. Your mouth and your heart are not connected. Or you know how to talk to everybody nicely and you say beautiful words and you speak in a beautiful way, but then your heart is completely black. That's not improving your actions. That's not doing tshuva. It shouldn't be just in the mouth. It's known that all of the ideas of shofar hint to tshuva, says the Ben Ish Chai. The shofar, everything about it hints to tshuva. And now pay attention to a few lessons that I'll teach you how. The rabbis say, mitzvato b'shel ayin. The mitzvah is done in the choicest way is you take a ram's horn. And they explain there, why from a ram? Why a ram's horn, not a gazelle? Because while you're still super strong, meaning you want the women, you want the money, you can get it too. You could go drop the Torah and go work and make thousands every month. You could drop the Torah, the peyot, the tzitzit, and go get any girl you want. You could go live whatever life you want. You could do whatever it is that you feel. While you're still strong, come into Hashem. While you still have might like a ram, then fix yourself. Shofar is also tokef, right? Like we said, it's the strength. The strength that's needed to do tshuva, like the Rambam says. What's a real Baal tshuva? That you made a mistake, you do tshuva, you come to Hashem, you go to the exact same place. You could be in the same situation and you don't do the sin. So what happened? A 30-year-old that wants to do tshuva, that was in the clubs. When is he meant to do tshuva? If he does tshuva when he's 60, 70 years old, that's not the same situation. You could go to the same club, but you're 70 now. You're not pulling, you don't have the strength you had when you're 30 years old. So that tshuva is not the same level of tshuva. If from 30 years old you wanted to have parties until you get to 40, 50, 60, and then in 60 you want to start doing tshuva for going out to the club, you're not a ram anymore. You don't have the force in you anymore. You're not in the same situation anymore. That tshuva is not the same level anymore. This is what Chazal said. Fortunate is the person that does tshuva while he's still a man, while he's still a boy. Meaning while you still have the power of a man inside of you. When you get to a certain point in life, the bodily functions don't work the same way. You're so to say you're less of a man. At that point you want to make tshuva on things that you don't even have the power to do anymore. It doesn't add up. So that's one of the reasons the Ben Ish Chai says that we have to, lechatchilat, meaning the choicest way to make a shofar is from a ram. Strength, while you're still strong. Also, the shofar has to be bent. You're not meant to use straight shofars, right? There's those gazelle ones, those Yemenite ones, they're not kosher for Rosh Hashanah. It has to have a bend in it. Why? Like the Baal Tshuva, that his heart has to be bent and submitted. Right? A person who has a strong, upright heart like Pharaoh, that's not able to receive, not able to feel, a heart of a stone, right? Unlike what Reb Nachman said. Reb Nachman had a prophetic saying. He said, "Besof kulam yu Breslev." In the end of the days, everybody's going to be Breslev. Doesn't mean that they're actually going to be Breslev. It just means they're going to have a heart of flesh. Everybody's going to be vulnerable enough to get hurt, to feel for the other, to feel inside their own personal lacks. It used to be that a lot of people in the world thought that they were something. You were a king, so you were a king. You were the butcher of the town, so you were the butcher of the town. That came with. Now everybody's broken. Everybody knows they're worthless. That's Breslev. You don't have to be Breslev, put on a white kippah, and learn Reb Nachman's stories. You should, but you don't have to. It would make your life a lot better, but you don't have to. Well, one thing's for sure, Reb Nachman was 100% correct with that prophecy. In the end of the days, everybody's going to have a heart of flesh. Everybody's going to feel. Everybody's going to be broken inside. That's the Baal Tshuva. And who needs to do tshuva more than the religious people? The religious people more than anybody else need to do tshuva. And what we think God is, the things that we think, the way we treat other people. Right? Everybody needs to tshuva. At least, thank God, we have a connection to Torah and Mitzvot. But like Reb Nachman says, you have to do tshuva on your tshuva. Yesterday you thought Hashem was one thing. Today you learned He's something completely greater than what you thought yesterday. So you have to do tshuva just how you did tshuva yesterday. Why do we blow tkiya? Right, just to break this down again for anybody who doesn't know. There's 3 voices of the shofar. One is called tkiya. That's a long, simple note, right? Then there's what's called shvarim, Shvarim is 3 voices. Dud, right? Shever means broken. And then there's terura. Terura is 9 voices. We have to make sure when we're doing a terura to do 9 voices. Right? So we have 1 straight, 1 that's broken to 3, and 1 that's broken into 9. Each different names. And we blow, the order that we blow is Tekiya, Shvarim, Tura, Tekiya. Simple, 3, 9, 1. Right? 1, 3, 9, 1. That's how you do it to begin with. Because the Tekiya, that first call out that there's, that's Simcha Betova. The Ben Ish Chai says that's the joy, that's the good times of life. Shvarim and Torah are the pain and the hardships that we go through in life. Because they're called Yelule Yalel. The cry they shall cry. That's what you call Shvarim and Torah. And it's called Genoche Ganach. The sighs that he shall sigh. So the crying and the crying and the sighing and the sighing, that's Shvarim and Torah. Therefore, we don't do Tkiya and Shvarim with one breath. We don't do it in one blowing. It's a separate note. Why? Like it's mentioned in the book in the Levush. One is a hint of joy and one is the other. You can't do it in one breath. Tkiya is joy. Shvarim is being broken. It's not in one breath. You can't mix them together. It's known from the story of the ring, right? Gamze Yavo. Shlomo Melech had a ring, right? That said Gamze Yavo. This too shall pass. Meaning the pain and the joy are not connected. They're not the same. You can find joy in your pain, but don't get them mixed up. The pain that we're going through in the galut of this world is not okay. This is not what Hashem wanted. This is not what Hashem created the world for. It's part of the process, but you have to understand, we are not in the times of Mashiach, meaning Mashiach's not here. We are not living in Tikkun. We are in the worst, disgusting, broken, shattered world possible, and we can't be okay with it. We should all be screaming out, like the Lubavitcher Rebbe said, screaming out to Hashem that this is not okay. We want Geula, we want Mashiach, we want things to get fixed. This is Galut, this is the worst exile possible. We can't be okay with it, right? We have to know that the pain and the joy are not the same. And that's why Tkiya and Shvarim are separate. And if you are in pain, as Yirena v'yitnachem, you have to see it and you have to get consolement. V'imu b'tova, and if you're in good, Yirena v'lo yavo litgaot b'tova v'oshro. If you're in a good time, don't get prideful about your success and the wave that you're riding right now. Ki yachshov shegam ze yavo ve'en lo kiyum. It's also going to pass and it's not going to last. Meaning your ups are going to go down and your downs are going to go up. Don't ever get stuck on one thing. There's a time for Tkiya and there's a time for Shvarim. They're not the same. There's ups and there's downs in life. And when you get up, don't get prideful. Know that you're going to go back down at a certain point. And when you're down, don't get stuck. Because just know that there's going to be a consolement. You're going to get back up. That's the shofar. Up, down. Tkiya, Shvarim. So too, after we blow of this joy and this goodness that is the Tkiya, we blow a Shvarim, which is the pain and the hardships, to hint to a person, don't get prideful and don't let your heart get too haughty when you have an up. After joy comes tests. It's the way of life, not a curse. That's just the way of life. You go up in order to take that joy and that power down. Then when you're down, you collect all the dark things and you go back up and the joy is even higher. And then back down again, same thing. Every time you go back down, you're like the Baal Shem Tov said, right? You're lifting up these precious gems and they have to go back up with you. So now when you go back up, you're in a higher level of joy. You're reaching higher heights. But it's also to go back down again to do that process again. What do we finish off? All the blessings, all the shofar finishes off with a tkiyah again at the end. After all the hardships, after all the pain, we go back to tkiyah. We go back to the joy. We go back to the good. To make a hint that even if you're standing right now in a place of pain, of hardships, don't ever give up. Don't ever have despair that mercy will come. You should always think, Sofa kavod lavo. In the end, the honor will come. And I'm going to have good days. And we're going to see joy. And this tkiyah is also a hint to the good. And it's also longer than the other one. That one at the end, that last tkiyah is long. Why? The good that's going to come, yavo bilti adragot b'meshech echad. It's without levels. It just comes with one drawing, one pulling down of good coming down from the heavens. Simple. But the shvarim, the hardships in life, kochot ksarim, they're shorter abilities, they're shorter. Bab. You can't, it's limited. Okay, there's a lot of them, but they're small. They're broken down. The power is broken down in the hardships. But the joy, the simcha, one simple voice that just keeps going. The pain's going to come little by little, but the joy, when the joy comes, it's going to be huge. It's going to be amazing. So too, the picture of the shofar, the shape of the shofar is the arousal of shofar, the arousal of tshuva, On one side, it's very narrow, and on the other side, it's expanded, right? It's big. So too, a person, where do you blow from? The narrow side. Where do you hold the shofar from? The narrow side. And what happens? From your narrowness, it starts to expand out. From your limitations in life, the shofar and the voice of the shofar starts to expand out. To show you that the Baal Tshuva in the beginning, he has to just add on. He has just to add on. Not to break himself, God forbid. You learn about something in Judaism, you pray for it, you learn about it, and you try to apply it and practice it and make it part of your life. The second you have it under your belt, another thing. Never too much at once so you get broken, and then you find yourself back in the club really quickly. But the Baal Tshuva always needs to be adding and going. Like they said, Talmidei Chachamim, the sages of the Torah, the Talmidei Chachamim, as long as they're getting older, their consciousness just adds, right? Old people in the West, what do they go to? Old age homes, watch TV, play board games, and end up passing away. Go to Mea Sharim, go to Bnei Brak, and look at the elders. Same exact age, even older than the people in the nursing homes in America. Brain sharp as a needle. Questions, answers, clarity. Obviously, there's not a blanket rule. Obviously, there's sickness everywhere, right? But on average, the Haredi mind at 80, 90 years old is sharp as can be. That's not the case in the West. That brain is already porridge from the amount of TV and radio it's listened to and nonsense that's in there. And there's no stimulation, just passing time until the person dies, right? So too, this is what the rabbis say. The elders, the Talmidei Chachamim, as long as they're getting older, more consciousness of God, more information, more knowledge. Their brain is expanding. Also hinted in this picture of the shofar, that on one side it's short, and the other side is expanded, and you blow from the shorter side to show you that the letter of tshuva is the letter He. And it has two openings. One is very big at the bottom, and the other one on the top left is much smaller. And the Baal Tshuva, right? Where does he have to go into the He from? I have to learn Tomer Devorah to figure this out. And we're going to do that, B'ezrat Hashem. We're going to start learning Tomer Devorah. Bli neder, but we're going to do it. Tomer Devorah teaches there that the secret of the He is the secret of the world and secret of Tshuva. That's where he's working off from here. And it says that the bottom of the He is where the tzaddikim are. The bottom of the He, it's a big opening. The He is the world, and it's Kedusha, Teshuv He, right? Teshuva is return to He. What does that mean to return to He? It's exactly what we're learning right now. When the person falls out of that big opening from being a tzaddik and they fall into the world, and now they want to do tshuva and they want to come back inside the He, they can't come back from the same breach they fell out of. It's too big. And if they rest inside that He towards the bottom of that opening, the hole in the fence is too big, they'll fall right back out again. So what is the Ramak, Rav Moshe Cordovero, will say in Tomer Dvorah, that the Baal Tshuva has to go up and enter back in the hay from the opening at the top, which is much more narrow, and he has to try to hang out there. And this is the secret of Balei Tshuva, stand in a place where even the most righteous tzaddikim can't stand. Because the righteous tzaddikim stand at the bottom of the hay. What does that mean? They have the strength. They've never sinned in their life. They've never done big sins. They never went to a club. They never slept with women. They never did these things. So they can stand by a fence that has a big breach in it because they're holy. They're standing there. The Baal Tshuva can't stand there. The temptations and the seduction is too real and too intense. When he works, he has to now work even harder to elevate to a higher place than the tzaddikim, to get into the top of the hay and to hang out in the top of the hay. That's why the Baal Tshuva is so lofty, because he had to do much more work to get to that level and to protect himself to stay there. He can't be next to the breach in the wall. And you need help to do that. You need help to get there. So you see in the picture of the shofar itself, same thing as the hay, which is all about tshuva. One side is big and the other side is small. And the Baal Tshuva comes from the small side. The Baal Tshuva b'dvarim shel mata, them shayachim la'anat ha'olam hazeh. The Baal Tshuva, that he was on the lower side, on the narrow side, he was focused on the pleasures of this world. Yikatzer v'yikametz b'hem, aval dvarim shayachim lemala, sheminyanim hanafshiyim, yitneg b'archava v'ribui. What is the Baal Tshuva needs to look at the shofar? Where's the shofar? Let's do this on camera. The Baal Tshuva needs to look at the shofar, right? This represents, in this last idea, we've talked about a lot of ideas in the picture of the shofar, but this last idea, he's saying this represents all of the things of this world. Cut them down, make them narrow, make them less important in your life. Narrow them down, how much you're engaging in this world. But spiritual things, go deep, expand, go wide, make much more in your life. This is the secret that can be learned from the shape of the shofar. Again, right? We said that it's from a ram specifically lechatchila. Why? We want strength in our tshuva. It's crooked, it's bent. Why? Because the heart of the Baal Tshuva has to be bent down to Hashem, in submission to Hashem all the time. We learned that we blow from the narrow side and it expands as well, right? We learned also the different types of voices and the secret of ascending to the top of the hay. He goes on here and he teaches more, but I think that's enough for today. I have to remember, tshuva is good. It's healing. It's healing. And personally, I can even step out of this a little bit. I'll talk just to tap again into the tzaddik, Rav Kook. Rav Kook talks about physical tshuva. And it's needed. The world is in a constant state of tshuva, and so too us. And I can promise you, because I'm going through it, the healthier you become, the easier it is to do tshuva. The easier it is to return to hay, to return to Hashem. Eat right, and you avoid the processed sugars, and you avoid bad breads, and you avoid all these horrible foods. You take care of your health, and you sleep more, and you rest, and all these things, they will help you to become more spiritual. B'ezrat Hashem, may we all be able to learn from the shofar, and to know that having a relationship with the Kadosh Baruch Hu, keeping Shabbat, keeping Torah and Mitzvot, and doing tshuva are very close. They're very close to you. They're in your midst. It's just the way to do them is with unity between thought, speech, and action. We can find that unity, everything becomes easier, everything becomes more of a flow. It's not an easy thing to do, but it's simple. It's simple. Not easy, but simple. B'ezrat Hashem, we got a bracha, a siyata d'ishmaya in doing tshuva and coming back to Hashem. B'ezrat Hashem.